How does Alessio hope here? Well, is Bitcoin ultimately heading towards 12,000 as a target, as a worst case scenario? Well, there's one trader out there who believes it's not just a possibility, but it's also a probability. That trader is analyst Gareth Soloway. I'm going to play this clip, this video clip. It's very interesting and fascinating, where essentially Gareth makes a very interesting point. The question is he right? Is it likely that Bitcoin could head towards 12,000 as a worst case scenario? Let's talk about that. Join me. Alright guys, welcome back. Now, as I was saying at the beginning of this video, trader Gareth Soloway made an interesting prediction and also a projection on Bitcoin. And he said the worst case scenario for Bitcoin could be 12,000, this level you're seeing down here. The question is he right? So let me play for you, first of all, the clip of, in fact, this particular interview clip with Gareth Soloway. Let me also say at the beginning that I respect Gareth. I think he's a great guy. In fact, philosophically, he and I agree on a number of different things. So, in fact, he's a technicals guy, which I like about him. Okay, I'm going to play the short clip of this interview where he makes this interesting prediction, and we'll come back.
The other thing that I'd love to show you guys is 20,000 is the high end of my target. The low end is actually down at 12,000. And the way I'm getting that 12,000 target, if I make this chart here zoom out properly, is basically if you look at this move down from 69,000 to 33,000, that's basically a vertical drop of $33,000. And if you take this high here at 48 and drop that same 33,000 down, which is what's called a measured move in technical analysis, you get $12,000. And what's even more fascinating is that if you look at previous cycles like 2017, when it topped out until the end of the bear market, in 2013, Bitcoin corrected 80 to 85%. Well, guess where 80 to 85% is? It's right around 12,000. So 20,000 is my high end, and 12,000 would be my worst case scenario correction on Bitcoin.
12,000. Sorry, and what time frame could we see it go that low? Would it just happen quickly or over a few months? How fast does that happen?
Yeah, so past cycles usually from the highs. So if you go back to November of 2021, it's 12 to 18 months. So we're already over 6 months into that, which implies give or take around 12 months more until we reach the bottom. But I do think that what'll end up happening is it'll be when fear gets to that level. We know fear is very pervasive. It'll be a fast move down, and then my guess is you'll get a bounce off that lows, but it'll chop around after that for a while until the next bull market takes over.
All right, guys, thank you very much for listening to that. So what I want to do in this video is examine what he said in that video, and especially his prediction for the worst case scenario for 12K on Bitcoin. But let me just say also at the start that, again, I respect Gareth. He's a knowledgeable and intelligent guy. I think what I like about him is that he respects technical analysis the same way I do, and just his passion for the subject. However, I want to explain to you in this video why I disagree, respectfully I disagree with him about this 12K projection. So let me just show it to you. So essentially what he said in that video is he measured this initial decline, as you can see here, from 69K to the lows we made, I believe that was in February, to about 33K. And then what he did was he projected this downward move from here, from the highs we made back in March, all the way, I think it was March, April, anyway, to these lows, to this low here, about 12K. So that's how it came to his 12K projection. Let me show you this chart. This is the weekly chart of Bitcoin. Let me just show it to you. Essentially, what he did here was this, and we can do this ourselves here on Bitcoin chart here. So we just do the same thing. We just measure this downward move. I'm using a Fibonacci extension tool here, by the way, Fibonacci extension tool. So we measure this move, and then we project it from this high as Gareth did, and that gives us, yep, there it is, 12,184. Again, as Gareth said, it's a measured move or a symmetrical move to this level, 12,000. So he's saying that because Bitcoin moved by a certain distance, okay, based on the number of points it moved down, and if you projected downwards, that gives it 12,000. That's correct. However, I want to explain to you the reason why I disagree with him on this point. And actually, it's a technical matter. By the way, this 12,000 figure does not change if I change the chart from logarithmic to standard. So this is a standard non-logarithmic chart, okay? And you can see it still says down here, it still says 12,000, as you can see here. So it doesn't change. So I want to explain to you why I actually find this problematic and why I respectfully disagree with Gareth here on this point. So let me just remove this for a moment here, okay? And let me show you an example. Let's go back a few years. I want to go back to the bear market, that major drop we had in 2014 and 2013, okay? You can see it right here on this chart. So we're going to measure this first move here, this initial drop. We can call this the A wave, and then project it from the probable B wave, as you can see here. I'm going to just drop it right here at the top. Okay. There it is. Now you're probably asking, okay, so where's the red line? Where is the same red line you'd expect to see down here? Okay, where is it? Okay, we can't see it at all. In fact, let me turn this into a standard mode. This is a logarithmic chart. I want to turn this into a standard mode. Okay, so the question is, where is our red line? Okay, you can see there's the 0 mark. There it is, 0. And yet we cannot see the red line, the symmetrical 100% projection. I'll show you where it is, guys. I'll show you exactly where it is. It's down here. Look at this. So you will see that's my red line. But look at the figure. Look at the number it says over here. It says minus 139. Okay? It's below 0. It's a negative number. And again, that should come as no surprise. Because, why? Because if you were to, again, if you were to measure the number of points that Bitcoin dropped from this high, okay, just measure the number of points to this low here, okay, to this low right about here. Okay, so we're measuring this high to this low, and you can see the number of points that Bitcoin dropped here was 823 points, minus $823 that it dropped here, as you can see. Again, it dropped from the highs of 1163 here, okay, all the way down to about, just near about $300 approximately here. So about 800 points. And if you project that 800 points from this high here, the high approximately about 700, then if you subtract about 823 points from this high near 700, then you're going to get a negative number. Again, the number I just showed to you here was, minus 139, as you can see down here. Now, as you can appreciate, that projection does not make any sense because it's a negative number. It's below 0. But look what happens if I do this. Just watch this. Let me remove this for a moment. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to right-click on this projection, and I'm going to the settings. Okay, so we're going to go into the settings section here. And then at the very bottom of the settings section of the Fibonacci extension tool, what you want to do is turn on and tick this box that says fib levels based on log scale. So I'm going to turn the Fibonacci extension tool into the log scale, the logarithmic scale. So I'm going to go and check that box. By the way, one important thing, before you check that box, it's important that you've already set the chart to logarithmic scale. So before you check this box here, make sure your chart is set to logarithmic scale already. Okay, let's go and check it. There it is. And then press OK. Now look at this. Now the red line appears right here. At what number? 199, about $200. Notice the red line is just near where the candle bar there on the weekly chart closed, just above it, as a matter of fact. The price did come below it, but it did not close below it, as you can see here. So about the same level where it bottomed out in the year 2015. By the way, I'll do it one more time for you so you can see it. So if I just do the exact same thing, again, project this low here, this A wave, potential A wave, and then project it from this potential B wave, you can see there it is. Okay, there it is right there at 199 or $200. Now remember, if we remove that check mark, that tick in the fib levels based on log scale, that red line would disappear. There it is, it's gone. And where is it? As we know, it's in the negative. There it is, 139. Now let me do it one more time here on a different section of this chart. Okay, let's go forward a little bit. Okay, and we'll do it with the 2018 bear market here, as you can see here, 2018 bear market. Okay, so let's do it one more time here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure that first initial A wave drop here, okay, potential A wave, there it is, and then project that from the probable B wave, okay. Again, remember, I'm using standard Fibonacci extension, not log scale this time, okay. So I've removed the log scale setting, okay. I've removed the check mark for the log scale, and you can see once again we cannot see our 100% projection, our symmetrical projection on the downside. And by the way, I'll just turn this into a standard, same thing. Let me show you where that symmetrical projection is. Let me show you where the red line is. There it is. You see that? Minus 1965. Minus 1965. Again, we're getting a negative number. Okay? It just doesn't make any sense, right? We're getting a negative number below 0. And again, remember, if I tune this into a log scale, doesn't make any difference. Same thing. See, on a log scale, it still shows as minus 1965. All right. Now, look what happens. Let's go back. Let me just do this one more time here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to the settings again, and I'm going to turn on the fib level based on log scale extension. Check that, and let's have a look. Look at that. So notice this time around, we get that red line right here at where? 3,546, not too far away, not too far away from the bottom that we made that year, in the year 2018. And also, as you can see here, it also bottomed very close to the 200 weekly moving average here, the green line. Okay, but the bottom line is that by using a logarithmic extension as opposed to a standard extension, you get a better, more logical, shall we say, more realistic or reasonable symmetrical projection. Okay, so again, measuring that potential A wave down from the potential B wave, and there it is. So by doing this, by applying the logarithmic scale to the 100% projection, you get actually a much more, I think in my view, you get a much more reasonable target, or indeed not a negative number. At least you don't get a negative number. Okay. So by the way, here's something else. If you were to actually measure this drop in points on TradingView, it's very simple to do that. So on TradingView, you just measure using a price range tool. Okay, there it is. And it says over here minus 13,745 points, which makes sense because it crashed from about nearly 20,000 all the way down to about 6,000, I think, approximately there. Now here's something interesting. If you just to drag that, just grab it and drag it to the high of the probable B wave, there it is, you can see you actually get the exact same level. Okay, just draw a red line across the low there, draw a red line exactly, a horizontal red line there, and you can see there it is. At the exact same level we had a few minutes ago on our 100% logarithmic extension, about the exact same level. Okay, so that also makes a lot of sense here as well. Let me now do this over here. Okay, this is the major ABC wave that we can see from 2019, 2020. Let's do it again. Again, I'm using the logarithmic scale here. Okay, there it is, to this low, and then I'm going to project that from that high. Okay, so as you can see here, yeah, I mean, it wasn't the exact bottom, but it came very close at about 4,860, as you can see there. Okay, so there's our logarithmic projection. And by the way, if I was to remove the tick here, the log scale, just let me uncheck this, and you'll see what happens. There it is. You'll see what happened here. The 100% projection now moved lower to 3,045. Okay, much lower than the level that it was previously. Okay, so I'm going to remove this now. So let's go now. What I want to do is let's go to the current state of affairs. This is the levels we're at right now. Again, as Gareth said, yes, it is true, and he's right. If you were to do a standard extension from that high, from 69K to the lows we made here at approximately 33K, and then project it from this high here back in March, about 48K approximately there, okay, to this high, then yes, you do get the downside worst case scenario, again, the measured move, 12,184. So listen, Gareth is right. If you were to do the standard projection, you do get that level. However, let's see what happens if we apply the exact same methodology we just applied a few minutes ago, and we switch on the fib levels based on log scale. Okay, let's turn this on and let's have a look. There it is, guys. So now, based on the logarithmic scale extension, so again, we've tuned in the extension tool into the logarithmic scale, notice that the target is now no longer 12,000, but 23K, which is not too far away actually from the 200 weekly moving average here. Okay, now I want to make something very clear. I'm not saying that Bitcoin has to move towards 23K. Because I know some people are going to misinterpret this. They're going to think, oh, so this means Bitcoin has to move to 23K. No, absolutely not. These are probabilities, okay? These are only methodologies. They're not certainties. So please don't get into your head that Bitcoin has to move to 23K. It doesn't have to do anything we want it to do, okay? These are only methodologies. And all I'm saying is, guys, all I'm saying is this, that if we apply the logarithmic scale to the extension, to the symmetrical move, you don't get 12K, you get 23K, okay? It does not mean that Bitcoin has to move to 23K, okay? Not at all. It could do that, of course, but it doesn't have to, all right? And by the way, let me say this. If you were to measure this initial drop here, this drop we had last year, okay, to this low, and then measure that from this high, from the top we made at 69K, you can see we get a different number. We get a different figure, as you can see here. You get this line here at 30,409. Okay, so by measuring this initial drop we had last year, the first major drop, and then projecting that from this high, again, we get this level here, this level. Okay, 30,409. All right. Again, that does not mean that Bitcoin has to bottom there either. Okay, these are only probabilities. not certainties. Again, remember, these are statistical tools. These are probabilistic tools. By no means should we misinterpret them to mean certainty. So let me just do that projection that Gareth did one more time, okay? So let me just do that one more time here, okay? So, okay, there's 12K. Look, it doesn't matter. The fact is, and I want to be fair to Gareth here, because he said that it's his worst case scenario, okay? So he did not say that Bitcoin is going to go to 12K. Gareth said 12K would be his worst case scenario. So I want to be fair to him because his best case scenario was 20K. So again, I respect Gareth. I think he's a very intelligent and knowledgeable guy. I just respectfully disagree with him about the philosophy of using this particular extension tool, okay, the symmetrical moves. Because listen, guys, if you're using a logarithmic scale for your Bitcoin chart, and I think logarithmic scales tend to work better for crypto and Bitcoin, okay? So I think if we are using logarithmic scales for Bitcoin and crypto, I think it also makes some logical sense to perhaps use logarithmic scales for the extensions as well, for the Fibonacci extensions or symmetrical projections. I don't know, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't agree with me. It's just my own personal preference. And by the way, I'd be curious to know what Gareth thinks of this. So I look forward to speaking with Gareth Soloway, hopefully on our own channel and in our videos at some point in the future. But look, listen guys, I want to be fair to Gareth here. He could be right, because he said in that video that maybe Bitcoin could make a very sharp, fast move towards 12K as a worst case scenario. So is it impossible that Bitcoin can go to 12K? No, it's not. It's never impossible. It is within the realm of imagination possibility. You know, we've seen Bitcoin make these volatile spike moves. So is it possible that Bitcoin perhaps could go to 12K? Absolutely, it's possible. Anything is possible. In my personal humble opinion, I just think it's unlikely. So I think it's less likely, because for the reasons I've explained in this video. For me personally, I prefer to use these extension tools, again, using logarithmic scales, again, applying the logarithmic setting to these extensions and symmetrical projections, okay? Again, it's my own personal preference. I'm not saying Gareth is wrong. No, his application could be correct as well, all right, guys? So let me know what you think in the comments, guys. What do you think? Do you think I'm right, or do you think I'm wrong? All right, guys? Again, I'm not going to take it personally. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But if you agree with me, that's fine as well. By the way, let me say that I would love it if Gareth was right about his 12K prediction, worst case scenario. I mean, who would not want to buy, who wouldn't want to buy Bitcoin at 12K? I certainly would. I just think it's less likely, again, respectfully, although I could be wrong. Before I finish this video, I just want to say a few things. First of all, please, again, just to repeat, please don't think that these levels are by any means certain. So we're not saying, again, we're not saying that Bitcoin has to move towards any of these levels, whether 23K or 12K, okay? These are only probabilities. They're by no means certain. Absolutely not. Bitcoin does not have to do anything that we want it to do, okay? Also, please don't mistake the fact that these levels are levels that Bitcoin is going to bottom. We've seen before that Bitcoin sometimes goes beyond those levels. So don't think that these projections are levels where Bitcoin has to bottom either. Remember that we're dealing with a probabilistic, chaotic, non-linear, and unpredictable market here. All right, guys, the final thing I want to say is tomorrow on Sunday, I'm going to go into more detail on Bitcoin and the stock markets. I'm going to go into the potential Elliott wave counts on Bitcoin and explore the higher time frames in more detail. So guys, join me tomorrow in the Sunday members video. And if you're not a member, you can join on that link you see right there. Thank you very much. Bye for now.